and nothing was working. And then things were snowballing in the wrong way. One of the things that I do to kind of get over the difficult business things is take one day at a time, and I go on long walks, and there's a science behind just right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, and just try to make big problems really small. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. And that kind of de-stresses me. And then I try to remember like the position that I am in. These are good problems to have,
Lucky.
I'm lucky. It's a privilege to be in this. I signed up for this. I don't want anyone feeling sorry for me. Like, I hate that. I'm not a victim. I'll get over it. Like, remember where I'm at. And then, you put your sneakers on and say, hey, let's go. And then I always try to think big picture. Like, none of the books I read in entrepreneurship didn't have near-death experiences. This is just mine. And let's talk to my guys in here that ride with me. Hey, who's in for this challenge? Let's go. And that's sort of the mindset I get to. But it doesn't mean I have those moments of like, I feel like crying, where I'm just like, damn. That's what I feel inside. Like, just damn, But, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot.
An entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
Are you going to build $1 billion business?
Our original goal as a business was to create a household $1 million brand. And I believe Cuts could do that one day. I don't think we're that far away. A couple moves as we build out stores, I think we could get that. But for like the exit strategy of the business, I think it would be one where we would get 30% and kind of go that route, so I could do it for a long time. I don't really see myself doing anything else right now. My vision is Cuts.
So creatively, as an entrepreneur, do you ever get an itch to do other things? Or are you? I think there are two different types of entrepreneurs, right? They're the ones that like fixate on making a great business and evolving that business and recreating and re-innovating within that four wall, if you want to call it four wall. And then there's the other entrepreneur who creates something really awesome, develops value, sells a piece, creates something else, develops value, sells a piece. Are you seeing yourself sort of taking this thing for a long time?
I think as long as Cuts provides me with the most upside, I don't see myself doing something else. And if that ever were to change, I think then my attitude towards it could be more like that other entrepreneur that would want to start something with the guys that I've grew up with now. Now I'm more senior. When I started the business when I was 26. So I definitely have that appetite eventually. I've invested in companies that have done really well. I love getting on the phone, talking to other entrepreneurs like yourself. And so that there is that side of it that I would love to do. But in terms of me operating a business, I think Cuts is definitely something that gets me the most excited to wake up every day. And we've built something special. And it's become so much of a passion project as far as me. I think about it all the time. If that ever were to stop, I would go to do something else, but it hasn't yet.
So you founded Cuts in 2018. So you guys are coming up on 8 years, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine it hasn't been smooth sailing the whole way. Can you think back onto a failure that really rocked you, that where you actually thought like this could be the end?
Yeah, so we had incredible growth from 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22. But one of the things that we didn't do good as a business was understand like the cost of capital. We had a credit facility with Ampla. They went BK, but it was an MCA loan where you get money in there attached to your Shopify account, and they just take money. And on surface, if you don't really think it through and the business is everything's going well, it can be a great quick way to get capital. And if you remember in 21, people were handing out checks like left and right. We got approved for like a $20 million line of credit in like hours. Like that morning, and we needed it then. What happened was we got a 2 line, and we got a huge line, and we ordered too much inventory. So, and the interest on it was like 14.5% or something. And we kind of got addicted to that, and that's what allowed us to grow. And we lost the fiduciary, or maybe fiduciary is the wrong word, but we lost the discipline of like what got us here. When we started the business, we did our first 10 million with no full-time employees. And then all of a sudden we had access to capital, 20 million. And we said, hey, let's go spend money on influencer marketing. Let's build out our team. We went to 60 employees. Let's do all this stuff. And we were growing, but what was hidden underneath the balance sheet more or less was that our inventory position was growing more than our revenue was. As a young CEO, I wasn't able to see the forest through the trees, and we had a young CFO at the time, and we weren't able to see our balance sheet and cash flow like we do now. And so eventually that caught up with us. And then at the same time, Ampla, they gave out too many faulty loans. And so one of their loans they gave was just a shell company, and they lost X amount of money. And Goldman had just funded them. And then Goldman said, hey, no, we're pulling the line. And then so why these loans are really predatory, I think they're going to be illegal in the state of New York soon, is when that happened, they had a huge book, like hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, out to e-com companies. All of a sudden, our line just started going down day by day. So our cash, because they essentially, if you get $10, they could siphon out $10 because it's attached to your Shopify account.
Right.
So luckily at that point, we had worked the line down from where it was to like $7 million. And we had a decent amount of cash in a different bank. But we had $7 million that was just going down per day. So when you're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales and they're taking 100% of deposits, we were like about to be, BK. And they told us, you have until March 31st or August 31st. So, and at that time, no bank wanted to touch really e-com companies too, because of this whole situation. We had a good P&L, but we still had a little bit too much inventory, and we had never raised money, so we didn't have extra capital. And so at that time, I had to pretty much go on a roadshow with not the best balance sheet, too much inventory, and dealing with the cash going out day by day. And it was like I remember it happened in May, and from May, June, July, August, it was just like me pitching the business to people to swap out the debt. And it was like a near death experience. I didn't pay myself for like almost 4 months. We cut like so much expenses from the business, and it really did teach us though, like a different level of how to get rid of like corporate debt. And what I mean by corporate debt is like, you have an extra password for Airtable, or an extra login for Shopify that's $12.99. We looked through every ounce of just to make our cash.
All that shit adds up.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and when you have 60 employees, someone gets this, someone gets that, and all of a sudden you're like, you get an office that's too big, you're spending a little too much on content, snacks in the office are $4K a month, you're cutting, you start adding up, you're like, all right, so we were able to slash it, and we were able to swap out the line, and then we had a smaller team and kind of things restabled, but it was really the discipline I needed as a CEO that I never got before. We started the business and we had immense success like out of the gate. We had, every athlete and celebrity wearing it. We didn't have to raise money. I started it with $50,000 that I saved up. I was living at home, no full-time employees at 10 million. And so we just thought like, hey, everything's going to be up and to the right. But we didn't have that financial discipline to be a truly great company. So that was definitely one of the big ones I never want to go through again.
So let's just dig into that a little bit. I have a few questions. One, did Ampla tell you that they were drawing 100% of sales? So
it was when it was sort of like, it was the same time Silicon Valley Bank happened, like the credit crunch. And what happens in situations like that, it's sort of like a run on the bank, where like all of a sudden you hear, I'm getting calls from other brands, hey, we don't have access to our line anymore, Steven, what's going on with you? And I'll leave the guy's name nameless, but he didn't tell us that. It was just like one day, all of a sudden we couldn't get a hold of him, and boom, here's the situation. And I think to give them a little bit, to not like tarnish the name. They had a difficult situation too. Like, you know, they had the same thing happen to them that they were doing to us. So it's just one of those things that, like, business is business, and I don't have any ill will, but it just sucks that happened. But yeah, it was one day our CFO came in, he's like, hey, we can't purchase this PO, and like the cash we have in the bank, we got to make that last until we get this done, because all the new receipts, all the money that's coming in daily, that's going straight to pay off the loan.
So let's cut into that.
Yeah.
What does it feel like when you're at the helm of a business, first time CEO, you feel like things are going super well, and then all of a sudden your dream starts to look like a nightmare? Like, what does that feel like internally? Like, what goes through your mind?
I was telling a buddy, sometimes it's like if you're going out to the ocean, like an analogy, and there's waves crashing down. In the early part of the business, it's like a lake where, like, you just go out and you can swim right out. But it just felt like I was just getting beaten down every day. Nothing was working.
Before even this whole thing happened?
No, after. During. And it just felt like, man, nothing was working. And then things were snowballing in the wrong way. Mm. One of the things that I do to kind of get over the difficult business things is take one day at a time, and I go on long walks, and there's a science behind just right foot, left foot, and just try to make big problems really small. Right foot, left foot. And that kind of de-stresses me. And then I try to remember, like, the position that I am in. These are good problems to have, you know?
Lucky.
I'm lucky. It's a privilege to be in this. I signed up for this. I don't want anyone feeling sorry for me. Like, I hate that. I'm not a victim. I'll get over it. Like, remember where I'm at. And then, you know, you put your sneakers on and say, hey, let's go. And then I always try to think big picture. Like, none of the books I read in entrepreneurship didn't have near-death experiences. This is just mine. And let's talk to my guys in here that ride with me. Hey, who's in for this challenge? Let's go. And that's sort of the mindset I get to. But it doesn't mean I have those moments of, like, I feel like crying, where I'm just like, damn. You know, that's what I feel inside, like, just damn, you know. But, you know, right foot, left foot.
Team is important, right? Mm-hmm. Team is important. And I think what I've learned, I mean, there's so much that I've learned over my career as an entrepreneur. But I do believe that the people that you surround yourself with, even agencies, mm-hmm. right? Like, the people that you have to deal with and communicate with and hope that you can rely on when things go down, because things go down. Mm-hmm. Every day something is sparking. There's always some little ember rolling, if it's not a fucking full-blown, mm-hmm. you know, 5-alarm fire. So how, as the CEO of a super successful company, how have you changed when it comes to managing people?
This is one area that I as I get into the role of a CEO, and I've kind of looked back, I still feel like I have so much room to grow in this. Being as transparent as possible, I think, is very important, especially when things aren't going well, because no one wants to be bullshit. And so we have kind of a policy in the business where everyone can kind of see where the numbers are at, and it's just, you know, we know where we're at on a daily basis. And so I think that goes a long way, that you can build trust and if you can build trust, you can get over hard problems. So I think that's the core that I try to focus on, and then set clear expectations. You know, when the tariffs hit, that was another, like, devastating thing that happened. We had a solid plan for going into the year. This was going to be the best year. We got our margin where we needed to be. We kind of, because the previous year we had the credit crunch, we had a lower OpEx. So if we could grow the revenue, it would just be
How much did you mitigate in OpEx after that?
Year over year, we cut $500K a month. Just a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was a massive like riff. Maybe a little lower than that, like 350 to 500. Some months got higher, but we just got sharpened our pencil super tight. And so then coming out of it, I'm thinking as a CEO, okay, we're able to do that. If revenue can stay up or go up, boom, we're going to have our best year ever. It's going to be a lot of work for the people that are left. So we all need to hold hands and be like, is this the plan? Let's go. And then the tariffs hit, and we lost 20 points of margin overnight. And we actually lost even more when it was 145%. So, this wasn't my first rodeo of things not working. I had just dealt with the credit crunch the year before.
And you're like, damn.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. Again, like we had just got over it like 9 months prior, had a good plan, cash was in a good spot, and then boom, that happens. And then I remember I was also going through some stuff around my personal life, and I'm a Christian, and my faith is super important to me. And I was like, I'm going to go on a fast. So I went on a 72-hour fast and just got close with the Lord, and was just like, man, I can't believe I have to deal with something like this again. And it was maybe one of the more difficult times, because the 145% was like an embargo. We couldn't import anything. Plus, at that time, there was no business at 145%. It was over, And so I did a fast, and I wrote a letter to President Trump on Twitter.
I read that.
And it went viral. And to the Trump team's credit, and I was a Trump supporter. I had voted for him for many years, and I had seeded a lot of the guys that were on his, like the younger guys, the video guys on his team. So I knew they would see it. And long story short, I ended up meeting with Secretary Bessent in Beverly Hills. I think they really listened to us, and then 2 weeks later they gave us that 90-day pause, and we had enough time to get our units over to Vietnam. And still a huge blow to the business for this year. It's gonna suck. You look at a $4 or $5 million tariff cost that we didn't have, which sucks, but. We're able to survive, and next year is going to be the best year ever. So just those things, and I think like sometimes in the biggest pain points, you can find like the biggest miracles. And just a lot of things happen. Right after that, I was on This Week's Startups, and I was on CNN, kind of went on this press tour. Those opened up doors because we needed to do a little fundraising for the first time ever. I got pretty much like I got the money we needed in a snap of the fingers through that experience. People saw my leadership in the moment, and it turned out to be, there was like God's hand of blessing on it. And I think like sometimes as entrepreneurs, you try to control things. And you try to hold things super tight. Like I need to figure out how to do this. In that moment, it was just like complete surrender. Like I'm gonna bust my ass, but God, I need you to have my back. And I think through that, it just taught me like there's such a power in being able to surrender and it doesn't mean not work hard, but it just means like you're okay with what the outcome is, and it allows you to have peace. And that's what I really learned in that process. And I think I'm a better man for it, and better CEO.
Has God always been a big part of your life?
Yeah. I grew up, my mom and dad still, married 30 something years. And I've just seen how their relationship has been so solid, and it's always been super important to me. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
God wasn't always a big part of my life, but when the going got really tough, the going got tougher, but life got better. It's pretty interesting how that works out.
Yeah, definitely.
When you have like faith.
Yeah, for this year, it's really been like awesome. Like one of the stories, we were looking for fundraising kind of when the credit hit, and I went to Blackstone, and one of the junior associates came by our store opening, and we had a huge line here in the West Village. And he got, I won't say it out loud, but he was like, hey, what revenue are? And he thought we had an extra zero on it. And so they had us up, they had us like big lunch in there. And I'll never forget when we go into the meeting, I kind of say the revenue number, and she kind of like just puts her pen down, like her pen falls out of her hand. Cause they thought we were like in the 500 million range essentially, or even bigger, like 600, because he misinterpreted. And it was just a fun day. Our line, Mariano, was there. I could see how he just got wrapped up in it. Like, oh, this is the next big thing. We gotta bring him in. And I'll never, and it was just one of those moments like, oh shit, damn. Like we were so stoked to go into their office. But then when this happened, one of our investors, he DM'd me, and it was like on the hidden, on your DMs, it's like hidden. Mm-hmm. And I honestly thought it was a joke.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And, we needed it. And I was like, all right, I'll take this meeting. Like this looks like a joke, but, went down to his office, and then it happened like in a day. So like when God works, it can just happen quick. And sometimes when you try so hard and you're working so hard as an entrepreneur, you're working one day after another, you're working, and things aren't going your way, sometimes it's good just to take a step back and just let it, like, you can only work so hard. And kind of like see, like open your heart to surrender and then see what can happen. And I think that's when like things can just shock you. Like a hidden DM, we got, some money this way. It's like almost like unbelievable.
What does celebrating a win look like for you?
I love playing golf, hang out with my friends and family. I love working. I love cuts. Like I love showing up to work every day and spending time with my friends and family. But I went on a Europe trip recently with some friends, some of my guy friends, and we went out there. That was a lot of fun. I think if I had to pick my ideal like vacation day, friends and family, Amalfi Coast on a boat, cheese platter, some glasses of wine, out there, like the water's so clear you can see to the bottom, like Will Smith's song. That's like my perfect day.
Have you had that?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Awesome.
Or south of France, somewhere where you're like, it isn't rocky, because I get a little ocean sickness, and just like I don't need many of those days though. Like after one or two of those, I'm like, let's get out of here. But just like that's what celebrating looks like.
Have there been moments throughout building cuts where you've forgotten about yourself, or do you keep your health and your wellness? And I mean, I know that that's something that you are passionate about. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you prioritize no matter what, or when things get hard, do you forget about it a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think when the credit crunch, that first one, that was the first time, like, it was weird. I couldn't sleep that well, and I like wasn't, when I would go to the gym every morning because I have to go, but the workouts were really shitty, just not good. And I was getting like and then my diet, I wasn't as focused much on my diet, just because like my brain was so focused on just accomplishing that one thing. But through that process, I just realized, I look back, I'm like, man, I was so unhealthy then. And then when the second one happened, I was much more healthy when that happened. Made sure to go on long runs, worked out in the morning. If anything, my diet got even better during that process because I knew how important it was. And so, yeah, I would say at times I do. But again, like, I'm not one of those guys that like needs to focus on his mental health and all of that. Like, I think I agree mental health is really important, but I think in today's society at times it can get like, it stems from a little bit of like a victim mentality and not having just a perspective on what we actually get to do and live as founders. So like founders, if you signed up for the job, I hate seeing founders or people that have made money complain about that stuff. You gotta have perspective. What we get to do every day is like a one in a lifetime thing, especially if you've made money. Like have some perspective and go start your other thing if you're sitting at home and tired and you don't know what your life's purpose is. Like have a little perspective.
It's so interesting. I just finished a conversation, and it really what this guy said was just so it was so profound. And basically, he said, it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what. Life. Mm-hmm. It's going to be uncomfortable no matter what. The decision you have to make is whether you want to take a risk or live with a regret, right? And I was like, that was it. I mean, that's it, right? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to end up at the end of it all saying, man, I wish I could have, I should have, man, it would have been so great if I would have just taken that step? Or I did all the shit I said I was going to do, some won, some lost, right? And I think that's what the mindset that you're talking about, which is like, if you are a founder, if you are an aspiring founder, but if you are a founder, win or lose, it's a privilege because you've taken a step that most people, 9 out of 10, just don't have the gusto to go for, right? Like the coolest shit in the world is, and also I think the most audacious in the world, right? Like when you, well, let me finish that statement. Coming up with an idea in your head that you think is gonna move thousands, potentially millions of people to just hand you money for. An idea, you could be sitting in a chair and have this idea, thinking that that idea is going to ultimately manifest millions of dollars. That's audacious. That takes balls.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just does. And people do it. And it's incredible. And a lot of them don't make it. But I look at things that I've done, things that lots of friends of mine done, things that you've done, and I find it so inspiring to just see people that have this audacity and with optimism and positivity and inspiring other people to fucking rally around this thing and want to bring it to the finish line and just carry it up like that and be so stoked to bring something from a thought to reality in life. Like it's incredible. It's incredible, you know. The fact that you sat down and wrote a letter to the President of the United States. I mean, dude.
Yeah.
That's wild. And it actually...
And the crazy part is I got confirmation that JD, Secretary Bessent, and Trump, one of them showed the letter to him of like, hey, we got this 145 can't stay for that much longer. It's going to kill businesses every day. And so that was cool. That I know I got confirmation he saw it.
Dude, you had the balls to sit down and write a letter and share your experience that you are currently going through. You wrote a letter to the most powerful man, definitely in our country, but potentially on the planet Earth, and it made it to him.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah.
And then there was a 90-day pause. So like you could, you know, arguably that could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. It could have been one of the few straws that broke the camel's back. But like, the mindset that one has to be able to think that they can do something, take a big ass risk, put yourself on the line.
Yeah, I got destroyed by that post.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you put yourself out there and you said, hey, like, if this doesn't change, we're dead. Mm-hmm. Telling the world, everybody knows cuts, that you're dead if it doesn't change. You just said, I'm going out, I'm putting myself out there. And it worked, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
So what was the backlash like on that?
It was kind of backlash from the right and the left. So the left was like, because I said it from a state of being very respectful towards the president. Hey, I voted for you. I want to make America great. I agree with a lot of your policies essentially, but this one, it's one, gonna hurt American jobs. Two, the way in which it's implemented, we just need more time. If you said, hey, in a year from now, it's going to happen, we have time to adjust as businesses. But if it's just all of a sudden, the next day, your P&L looks like complete garbage, that's unfortunate for American people. And cuts is the American dream. You know, we bootstrapped a business, we employ a ton of people, and we are the modern day American dream. And don't kill that to solve a different problem. And the left was, hey, this is who you voted for. Like the leopard eats your face, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. I got on like some crazy Reddit thing and it was like thousands and thousands of comments. And then the right was like, you shouldn't have made your stuff in China. But that's where the genius of it was a little bit. And I think for the most part, though, people in the game were like, he gets it. There's nothing wrong with the tweet. Even if you didn't like that I voted for Trump, they were like, that was a really respectful way to approach a difficult situation. You're not bashing him. You're not trying to, or you're not unrelenting supporting him. I think you don't see this on the left. They never argue with their guy. I think that's what I like about the right. If they don't like something, they're not afraid to say it. And so I wasn't afraid to say, hey, I voted for you, but I don't like this. And so that's where like the virality, I think, came to.
Let's get into your life outside of business a little bit. Do you believe in morning routines? Do you find them helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a routine guy. Like right now I've been traveling and going to wholesale shows and stuff, and I hate not being on my routine, but I'm a big walker. I live near Manhattan Beach, and I wake up, have my lemon water to start, and then my creatine. I put my creatine in my like lemon water, diss it up. It's like the flavorless kind. Kind of. That's how I start my day. I do a 1.5 mile walk, put on like some Christian music, and just kind of right foot, left foot. That's usually like 5:15 to 5:30. Then when I get back, I'll go to the gym 6 to 7, and then come back to the spot, have my protein shake, and then go to work after that.
Got it. And has that been the routine for a long time?
More or less. The walking part I've recently added because it's just been, I try to walk like 9 miles a day.
So what does that equate to in steps typically?
I think it's close to 20,000 steps. Because I do like in the mornings like 1.5 miles, and then or even 3 sometimes. Then my normal work day, just being in the office, it's like 2. And then after work, sometimes I'll walk like 3 or 4 miles.
Do you so in those sort of intentional walks outside of the first one in the morning where you're listening to faith music, do you work while you're walking on calls and whatnot? Yeah,
if I got a long call, I'll even during work, I'll always try to take it because if it doesn't need to be on Zoom, I'll try to take it walking. I think I do better thinking while I'm moving. And I'm more in it with them. Even on a Zoom, your phone's there, your email pops up on Google, you're kind of like dozing away. So if it's a team member and it doesn't need to be on Zoom because we're not looking at anything and I'm just providing my impact or we're thinking about an idea, right foot, left foot, and my brain just gets in a good flow. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot.
You know what I find to be so interesting, and it's almost ridiculous, and it's so new, only in the last 5 years. People look at me sideways when I'm like, just call me. Let's get on a call. Because I could be out walking. Because that's what I do. And my whole team knows too. Like, hey, I'm not showing up on a Zoom because like it's a Zoom. Like if I could be out walking and talking, why would I be sitting in front of my computer to see you? Like it's not that I don't want to see you. I'd love to see you. But like at the end of the day, up until 2020, it was all calls.
Yeah.
It was all calls. That's what it was. It was, you got a conference line, everybody dialed in, and that's how business was conducted, right? Like people are offended if somebody hops on a Zoom or a Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, whatever it is, and their screen's off. And I sometimes would have to say in the beginning of a call, hey everybody, just want to let you know I'm out walking. Don't be offended that my screen is off. It's insane. Right? It's insane. And so the whole team knows that I'm more than happy for everybody to take, we use Google Meet, take as many Google Meets as you want, but I am going to be walking, and I give them the full opportunity to do that as well. Like, do you find the virtual meeting culture to be a hindrance?
Yeah, I can't stand it, to be honest. Like it's hard to compete in e-com and not have work from home. But it is up to me, but it is harder in Los Angeles to compete with good talent if you don't have some level of work from home, because a lot of e-coms don't have an office nowadays. And I think there's a power of being like when we're in the office.
100%.
But if we're at home and to your point, and like we're all on Zoom and we're not looking at something, there is a negative stigma if you're not there. My one suggestion or to the team members is don't be distracted. Like you can be distracted if you're on a Zoom, you can be distracted. Like we had this one girl, she was like in her car after a yoga class, her head's not in it at that moment. So like when I'm walking, my head is actually more in it.
Totally. And if you're not going to be on the call, it's not because you're doing emails, right? Like we have a weekly team call where it's a big State of the Union every week. Everybody's there. Everybody's on Zoom. But for like a morning stand-up with my EA, I'm not on a Zoom, you know? And for like an ops check-in, it's not necessary that we're all on a Zoom. And I do think that there is, you know, coming from the world of restaurants, I mean, I spent 12 to 39 years old. I was in the restaurant business, right? And I mean, I didn't start opening restaurants till I was 28, but I was like as boots on the ground as you can get, right? Hand-to-hand combat was my thing. And so culture is such a humongous part of that. I mean, it's just such a huge part of the world of restaurants. And the reason why so many restaurants fail is because so many restaurateurs don't understand how important that internal culture is.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing. How your staff shows up to work is going to be the success or demise of your business. And so, and it's different in the world of e-com. Not that culture is not necessary and a big deal, but you know, it's different in a brick and mortar business, right?
Totally.
Where you have to interact with customers on a you know, minute by minute basis. And so going into D2C for me was just super difficult.
Yeah.
Super difficult because culture has been my thing. Culture is like at both the Meatball Shop and at Seymour's. I was the CEO, but I was really the CCO, which is the Chief Culture Officer. Yeah. You know, people call me the culture cowboy. Like that's kind of how I walk through it, right? Because I believe that you can get through anything with the right culture. You know what I'm saying? Like you just can. And so when it comes to culture for you, how important is culture? And if you had to describe culture at Cuts, like how would you describe it?
So we've gone through a couple different phases of good and bad culture. Maybe I'll start with the bad one because I think there's maybe a little bit more like kind of lessons. But in 2021, and remember 2021 was like heightened political stuff. There was riots and stuff. So as a CEO, you had a lot to deal with back then. And we were 3 or 4 years in, growing like crazy, and we were just hiring 60 people we had. And I even let people, this is a mistake, get higher on their teams without me approving it, which was a huge mistake. I wouldn't do that again. I would say I could hire 100 people, and then after that, you know, maybe I would delegate. But I have plenty of time to make sure those get right. And we were launching women's, or thinking about doing women's, and we were going to do a full-length tee, a crop tee, and we had this group of, you know, females on our team that were really like about like body inclusivity. And that was like height of that kind of era. And, you know, Cuts is a very slender workout, you know, modern type brand. And the team at the time was like, hey, we need double XL cropped women's tees. And we need to make sure we offer all the bigger sizes. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. And we placed our order, and then like we still have some of that inventory. It's just we've gotten through, we've liquidated it, but it was kind of a huge mistake in culture though, because the people we brought in didn't know the DNA of Cuts. So I think a great culture knows who we are as a business, and they protect it. And that was the biggest lesson there. They didn't know who we are, and so they couldn't protect it. And really that whole situation was my fault because I didn't set those expectations clearly enough. And we had to make some changes after that and go on. But I think, yeah, it was just such a good lesson of, you know, does everyone in here know who we are and what we represent, and are they willing to protect it? And that's good.
I just want to make a comment on that, which I think is really important for everybody listening to hear is, you know, the fact of the matter is you cannot be for everyone. You just can't. And I think when you try to be for everyone, you lose your way. Because, you know, if you are trying to please every single person, I remember when we first launched Kreatures of Habit, you know, it's a $5 pouch of oatmeal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a fact. It's a $5 pouch of oatmeal. You buy Quaker instant oats, it's like 40 cents a pouch. So it's a lot more money, right? I got hammered, just beaten up to death by people that were like, how selfish, how rude are you to try to charge $5 for a packet of overnight oats? What are you, crazy? And my brain went like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And our CFO at the time, who is super smart guy, he's like, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it more expensive. And I was like,
I love it.
Huh? And he's like, we're a premium brand, Mike. Like, we're a premium brand. We put in really great ingredients. It's optimized. It's fucking good. You're gonna let somebody who's comparing you to Quaker instant oats scare you and make you feel like you're doing something wrong? Make it more expensive. And we did, and everything changed.
That's great.
You know?
I love hearing
but that's
stories.
what when you say
It's great.
Know who you are and they'll protect it. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he protected it.
He
protected you.
it like he was ready to fight. You know, he's like, this is who we are. This is who we are.
Be unapologetic.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about watching your stuff. You're very unapologetic.
Well, I think that's what people resonate with, right?
Yeah.
That authenticity. Like, people used to, you know, I talk about God a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people are like, unfollow. I'm like, great.
This isn't for you. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, this is who I am. This is what I believe, right? Like, you talk about you vote for Trump. So I'm sure some people, if not a lot of people, were like, unfollow.
We got death threats. It was never buying cuts again. But, at the same time, I think it ignited like the Steven Borrelli and the Cuts fans. I was golfing, or I was sitting in Manhattan Beach at dinner, and this guy goes, "Hey, I gotta stop you. I saw the interview and I watched all your stuff. Like, that took major cojones." He worked at Oakley, this guy, and he sent our whole team a bunch of cuts. He's like, "We just, as a team, we want to just give you guys support." And then I was like, it was like one of these moments, like I got you, bro. And to me, it's like that's the sign of a good brand, when you find those people like that. Who cares what the critics say?
Dude, we Lance Armstrong has invested. He's been supportive since the day, he's been like this. He's become a really great friend of mine, and he really believes in what we're doing, even though he fucking hates oatmeal. He says it. He's like, I hate oatmeal, but I eat this shit because it's great fuel. But he's like, I'm supporting what they're doing, And we've just gotten so many people being like, Lance is a cheater. Fuck you, never ordering again. And I'm like, great. Who did you say that for? What comment was that comment for? Like who did you say it for? For everybody else that's gonna read it, or for what was it? Do you really believe that? Like, who was it for? Who? And honestly, like, nobody cares what you actually think, And I think that's kind of like, I don't obviously feed into that stuff, right? I'm not going to be like, nobody cares, like, in the comments. Yeah. But I do think I love that idea of like, hey, like, culture, first step, know who you're bringing into the team, and make sure that those people know what the team is all about. Like, understand the DNA, right? And it's not about the core values that are written up on the wall in the lobby. Right, it's like, hey,
so much more than that, because people can misinterpret those, which we've had before.
So that was a moment of culture that you weren't the most proud of. What about culture now? What does it feel like?
Going on to who we bring on as community members on our external team, like our influencers and things like that. Going back to that situation, in the early part of the days of Cuts, I would DM like minor league baseball players that I thought would be people that would be a Cuts DNA person. You know, as Tyler Wade on the Yankees, Clint Frazier, Walker Buehler, guys that were like athletic guys, but also had style, that had other things in going for them, that invested, good family men, all of that. And we created like a cult-like kind of athlete group that they would reach out to us, and that became kind of how we got our name. Then as the business grew, we delegated, and we started reaching out to, you know, people that didn't make sense. And now when we go back into it, one of the things I'm really proud of is me and our VP of marketing, Brennan, we understand where like the pivot points of the business are, where the pressure points. And we undervalued that like later in the business because we had done it so well. But now moving forward, we're me and him okay every person still, because me and him just know, hey, is this a Cuts person? Is this someone we want to invest in? And the roster of guys and girls that we have going into like 25 and 26 I think is some of the most strong people. Plus they're also more into that creator space that's kind of been a little bit more viral over the last like 18 months. And so we're really getting a solid group of guys and girls that work out and go out. And that's sort of like the Cuts. That's what represents the sport of business, and that's the clothing that we provide. So I think,
work out and go out.
Yeah, you know, and it's all three really. And you know, it's not just work. You know, all of our guys work out, and they're social. They like to have fun, and their going out isn't necessarily rooted around like alcohol, or that can be a part of it. But it's just like they're social guys, and they like to be with their community.
Where is Cuts in 5 years?
Well, I get really excited about our retail aspirations. You know, when we launched our store in New York, we had Mariano Rivera open it. I was a longtime Yankee fan, and he's become a good friend of mine.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's the most classy guy. He called me the other day for shirts, and you know, sometimes I call him, hey Steven, you send me shirts. Okay, bye. You know, he was asking, you know, about my personal life, what's going on, how's the business, really cares. And the way he signs his signature too it's like he goes like one swerve at a time. Like every one time we did a giveaway, and just the attention to detail, it just shows how good of a guy he is, you know. You know, some guys, they kind of just do this, but launching retail stores, we're opening one up in Nevada, Nashville, connecting with more of our ambassadors in our community. I would love to. That gets me really excited, is seeing Cuts in the physical world moving forward, which you know, I think is going to be good for the business, because we have great product and it's better in person. And that's
how many stores now?
Just 2, so another 5, so 7. I think that will happen in the next year and a half. So in 5 years, I think I would love to have like a Vuori type of like escape velocity. They did a lot of things right over the years with wholesale, retail, and online. They had great fabric platforms, and they're I think one of the better brands out there. That would be the.
So is that like a muse for you? Yeah,
Joe, I think, is a great CEO. I think he's done a lot right. Actually, we were at the same hotel, and he was in the cold plunge and I was in the sauna in San Diego, and I got to talk to him for a little bit, and that was cool. But yeah, they do a lot of good stuff.
How important is it for you as a CEO to have other CEOs that you kind of aspire to, that you believe have done a really, really great job, and you'd like to emulate some of their stuff?
It's how I built Cuts. I mean, when we started the business, Jake Kassan did Movement watches, and I was their little brother. I was 25. I call it year 0A and 0B, where we were pre-revenue. I had an idea. I would just show up at the Movement office and just say, hey, teach me Facebook ads. And I would go in there, and he would teach me Facebook ads. I had no product or no idea at the time. But if it wasn't for him, there's no way I would have had the reference point to be able to start Cuts. So that's why like Joe for me is a good reference point to kind of understand how they've made their moves, from the way they develop product, and they really focus on great fabrics, to doing wholesale and retail really well, doing small 1,200 square foot stores that you prove the model, low risk on OpEx. You're not going to get burned by them. And now their stores are 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, and just understand. And a lot of it's public. You can read all their information online. And if you have the intuitiveness to look through things, all the reference points out there. And I met him once. We're not even that good of friends. So it's important. And then also too, like for me and you, I hope we can go to grab a drink or do something soon. Or you don't drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Grab a
coffee,
a Pellegrino or something. Yeah.
Totally.
And like a lot of my buddies, like when we went to Europe recently, was the Blenders founder, the Truff Sauce founder. And we all, we're like, hey, let's go to Greece. So we just did a kind of like a founder trip, and they're like kind of in my, Joe's probably kind of like above my, like older in age and been in the game longer. He's like more of a muse. These guys are like my peers. So they're going through a lot of the stuff I'm going through, and we kind of joke with each other. I think it's so important. So important.
Yeah, dude. I want to finish up with a question that I always like to, I find sleep to be one of the most important components to success, happiness, the ability to provide for my family, but also obviously for my business. Sleep is so critical and crucial. And so many of us don't prioritize sleep and kind of like allow sleep to just happen, as opposed to like making it like, I think it's so important to have like the go to bed alarm way more than the wake up alarm. What do you do for wind down? Do you have a wind down? This is something that I've struggled with my entire life. Like even in the frat days when I was 19, I was the guy that would wake up early. I just couldn't sleep that well. This is a theory. I have really high T naturally. My dad's 60 and he's got like almost a 950 testosterone. So we have that in the Borrelli family. And so I have a high motor, and I prioritize sleep the best I can, but I had an Oura Ring, and I got obsessive about it, like I do everything in business. And I end up having the worst sleep I've ever had. I had so bad I got insomnia. I had to get a sleep coach, all because of the Oura Ring. And she was because you were fighting so hard to get good scores.
Yes, and to this day I never got better than an 85. I never got better than 85, and I would get my room temperature down, black lights, mask, no phone. I did all of it, but it was like the mental aspect of trying too hard. Versus the way I get good sleep now, and this is maybe a counter to like a lot of advice, is I just go to bed when I'm tired. So if I'm not tired, I don't go to bed no matter what time it is. If my motor's too high, like if I have let's say I'm at the office till 7:38, I don't try to go to bed at 9:30, which is like my go to bed time, between 9 and 9:30, because my motor isn't down. What was happening was with the Oura Ring, I would get home at 7, try to eat food, and try to get off my phone and try to wind down by 9, but I didn't have that process to wind down. And so I would end up being in bed, eyes shut, just my mind just going, and then it was over from there. I would be up till 7 a.m. It was over. Like I would have anxiety about not having sleep. And it just like, I remember it was like middle of 23 that I just had the worst sleep. There would be 2 days a week that I would be like crippled, where I would not get any sleep, and it like ruined my life. The Oura Ring did. So I think that's unique to me. I'm just kind of like that. But I figured out what worked for me, which is don't think about sleep, actually. Go to bed when you're tired, and and the prerequisite of that is no phone before bed, keep your room cold, don't eat too close to bed, meditate before, like I'll read my Bible or try not to watch TV. So I do all the good stuff, but I don't stress about it. So that's me. What about you? Curious.
Yeah, I mean, so my wind down routine is it's pretty simple. I mean, it's the same. I've been doing the same exact thing pretty much. Well, definitely since we've moved upstate, which is either my wife or I put our kids down. We got 2 sons, so we put our sons down, typically bring them upstairs at around 7:45, and it takes about a half an hour to put them down between brushing teeth and getting them, singing songs and stuff. And then typically Donna will come down or I'll come down, and we watch a show until about 9:15. As soon as that show starts, I make myself a Creature Sleep. I use Creature Sleep every single night. It's just a really nice way for me to just sort of start to relax and wind down. And at about 9:15, typically I'll head upstairs, AC is on, room is cool, blackout shades. I use the 8 Sleep mattress, so that really I gotta say, like, I don't work with 8 Sleep. I have no connection to them outside of the fact that, like, it's actually works. Like, my wife hates the cold, so I can't get the room as cold as I'd like to get it. So the 8 Sleep mattress allows us to have different temperatures on different sides. So I do that. You know, I'm kind of a nut, but like I really do prioritize sleep. So I wear a sleep mask, and then most recently, I have this.
I need to try that. The tape?
No, I don't use the tape. The tape didn't work really well for me, but I have this mouthpiece that Airwave makes that has been unbelievable for like truly.
Send me the link. I want to try that.
Okay, it's true. It's not comfortable in the beginning, but basically what it does is it keeps your tongue up, kind of like this. So like. I don't know the actual science behind it, but it has truly enhanced my sleep. But before that, when I get into bed, I always love to read for about 15 to 20 minutes. Reading really puts me in that, like, no matter how good the book is, no matter how intense it is, like, I try to get 10 pages in before bed. Most nights I don't, because I'm just like ready, because it just knocks me out. And then I always go to sleep with one AirPod in. Most people will tell me you're crazy, but I do. I go to
noise canceling.
Well, I go to sleep with one AirPod in, and I typically listen to like a really, really long book.
I'm gonna try that.
So I put it on 15-minute timer, and you know, like I just finished *Sapiens*, right? I haven't retained most of it, but it's great. It really just helps me fall asleep. And typically when that AirPod goes in and I put my head down, I am asleep. I don't know, maybe a minute and a half.
Can you tell me your morning routine?
Yeah, I can. So it's a great question, because I just went back to So I've been building this routine for a long time, right? For about 3 to 4 months, I decided in the spring. I said, you know what, man? Like, you've been doing this really intense, structured routine for a long time. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna sleep until 6. Do your non-negotiables. You know, for me, prayer is just a massive part of my morning. So I pray every single morning. I brush my teeth. I wash my face. I have a skincare thing. I have an oral care routine. I pray. Right after I pray, I do my push-ups. I stretch. And for 3 to 4 months, I'll go hydrate. But for 3 to 4 months, I just finished it there. I said, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to wait for my wife and kids. I'll open up a book, or maybe I'll pull out a journal. Maybe I'll write some stuff down. But I'll just wait for them to wake up and come down. And I started to feel a little squirrely. And so about a week and a half ago, I said, you know what? We just got back from Europe. I was like, I'm going to go back to my way more structured routine. And I'm going to say what that is now, but I also want to make a mention that, like, it's not for everybody. I don't hang my fucking hat on this thing. I do it because the fact of the matter is, for a guy like me who's in recovery, who is just a bit obsessive, and I like to optimize, it really, really, really makes a big difference in my day. So I do all that stuff. I wake up at around 5:15, depending on what time I go to bed, either 9:15, 9:30. But I wake up around 5:15. I go downstairs, I brush my teeth, floss my teeth, use this oral care thing. Tongue scrape. I learned all that from Dr. Jonathan Levine, who I had on the podcast, who was very, very, very adamant about oral care being like super important for just overall care. So oral care is a big one. I have a skincare thing that I do, and then I pray. And I pray for about 5, 7.
Do you have a prayer list that you have every day that is kind of the same, or is it new stuff?
I've had the same prayer for over 20 years.
Okay.
But I actually just recently made a little change to my prayer. I used to say, as part of my prayer, God, please help to remove my fears, my insecurities, my character defects, my character assassinations, my wrong thinking, and my rationalizing. Please allow me to be of service today. And those were the things that I asked God to help remove from me. I'd recently shared my prayer with a friend who I deeply respect, and he said, you know, man, I understand why you would ask God to help remove those things for you, but he was like, you you're asking him, you're bringing negativity into your prayer in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you say, instead of God help remove these things, why wouldn't you say, hey God, can you please bring optimism and joy and happiness and love and light and guidance and support and confidence and courage? Like, why wouldn't you say those things as opposed to like the bad things that you want to get rid of?
I like that.
And
That's
I was
good
like,
advice.
all right. So boom, flip-flop that. So that's the newest edition. But I pray for a lot of people. So the brunt of my prayer is I individually name people that I love and I care about, and maybe even who I'm struggling with. But so that's the sort of the back half of my prayer. And then I do as many push-ups as I can in the morning. I'm at about 76 push-ups right now.
Wow.
So I bang out as many push-ups as I can, and then I do. And it was 60 for a long time, where I just did 60 push-ups and I just stop. And now I've just said, I'm just going to go as long as I can. And then I stretch. So I do down dog, up dog 5 times, cat cow 5 times. And then I go sit in front of the red light. I got a red light panel. I sit in front of the red light, and I meditate. And I do that for about 15 minutes. And then I make my way into the kitchen. I hydrate. I drink probably 30 ounces of water with a pouch of electrolytes, and then I go into the sauna. I've got an infrared sauna. I sit in the sauna, and that's where I get reading in. My reading in the sauna, and I walk across the garage. I sit in my cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling. And then when I'm done with that, the light is just starting to come up, and I open up the garage and I get some sun in my eyes. It feels really, really good. I walk on the grass barefoot, which I love doing, which is a relatively new thing. And then, honestly, by the time that's over, my wife and kids are starting to get up at around 6:30, and I have a cup of coffee. I have my IM8, which I love. Like it's it's extensive, but at the end of the day, how I feel after doing that, and it's not like it takes me all day. Like, those things happen in succession. Yeah. It takes about an hour, and I love every one of them outside of the cold plunge.
That's a good one. I just moved and I have room for a cold plunge and sauna now. I'm excited to start doing that.
I do believe that.
Are you a cold plunge? There's a lot of new things out of. A couple of my buddies are like, oh, it's kind of cap. Like, what's your thought process of it?
On the cold plunge?
Yeah, it's like they're finding out that it might be not as good for your muscles as they.
Well, so basically, the thought process is doing it right after a strength training session. It might not be as good for your muscles because you kind of want that inflammation to actually heal itself, as opposed to expediting it, and that's ultimately what the ice does, right? It'll bring down inflammation, and after you train, if you're training right, like you're making micro tears in your muscles, and the way muscles grow is by them healing themselves with protein synthesis, right? And so the cold plunge might expedite the inflammation process, and so it might not be the greatest if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to get stronger and bigger. I don't buy any of that bullshit. I don't do the cold plunge because I think it's
more
gonna,
of a mental thing.
Yeah,
right?
I don't do it because I think it's gonna like give me another 5-10 years to my life. I do it because it's fucking hard. It's a negotiation every time. It's a massive win, a major massive win for me in the morning, because I'm like, I just don't want to do it. Every single day I do it. I just don't want to do it. And I'm able to convince myself, yo man, like, there's going to be a lot of things you don't want to do, but this is an easy decision. Go for it. You're going to feel great when it's done. The difference between me doing that routine and then just the non-negotiables that I first said, by the way, awesome. Like, if we go out for, we go to go do something, we're out late, like I'm also not going to like bite off my nose to spite my face, right? Like I'm not going to go, if my wife and I are on a date night and we go see, like last week we saw Jerry Seinfeld, which was pretty awesome. But we saw Jerry Seinfeld. We didn't get home until 12:30. Like, am I going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I'm supposed to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning? No, I'm trying to optimize, man. I'm trying to like live the best life possible. And so I'm going to sleep. I'm going to give myself the 7 to 8 because I know that that's important. So I don't like, for years, people gave me shit about my morning routine because they were like, oh my God, you're one of these guys. And I'm like, hey, like, you could walk around life judging people for the decisions that they make because you either A, are jealous that you potentially don't have the commitment ability to be able to do something like that on a consistent basis, or you're just like jumping on the bandwagon and, you know, sort of rolling your eyes because everybody else is, right? Like, I do it because it actually, how I feel when I walk back into my house, whether my wife and kids are at the breakfast nook or they're on their way, I am my best self at 6:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm untouchable. I'm impenetrable. I am the best dad and the best husband I can possibly be after doing those things because I've just won 14 times.
Yeah.
It's totally in my control. You know how hard it is to win.
Yeah.
How hard is it to win?
So hard.
Winning is so hard, man. And big wins takes an army.
Yeah.
And an army of everybody working in unison together, snipers in their positions, fucking front line, ready to go, probably taking casualties. Like, it's so hard to win big. So, like, if you can control these little ones in the beginning of your day, the chances of you being ready to rock and roll and in unison with the rest of your team are just far greater.
And that's momentum too. Like what you just described is momentum for you during the day. And the times that we've, as a business, have had momentum and then lost it, it's so hard to get it back. So like it may not seem like it, but if you as the founder have that and it allows you to kind of, hey, 5 days in a row of this, you're moving. And that encourages you to bring that into the team. I mean, that could be worth a lot for a business.
And by the way, like, the people within the organization see you show up like that, knowing that, like, look, every decision that's made at the company, good and bad, at the end of the day, resides with you. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. I made a decision, or not a decision, but I just learned early on, it doesn't matter where the finger is pointed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. If somebody fucks up royally, I am going to be the one that's going to speak for it. Like, I could definitely say, hey, man, you dropped the ball. Here's the ball. Like, don't drop it. You know? Mm-hmm. But like, making somebody feel like, I have felt that there needs to be assertiveness, of course. But I just know, as when you sign up to be the boss, the leader of the ship, the CEO, the founder of the company, you sign up to take all of the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just what it is. And so if you show up in your personal life and the team sees who you are showing up that way in your personal life, man, like, the waves that makes in business with your team, I've learned are invaluable. Yeah,
the areas of the business that I don't want to know, where, you know, as that are happening, you're like, oh, we don't really need to do this. We don't really need to focus on it. And you know you should, or maybe you do it last in the day. Those end up becoming the biggest problems. Or things in the business you're maybe a little insecure about, those become the biggest problems. And so I've noticed, like, if I see that in me, I got to go attack it, because I got to get that in the butt before it becomes something big.
Yeah, and I think also, just finishing on this thought, like, intuition is really important to me. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think and a lot of founders that I speak to, like, intuition is really, really important. Mm-hmm. I have found myself, because I want people to have autonomy, I think it's important that people, specifically in like a senior level position, that they have autonomy in their roles, where they feel like they can go out and make decisions and like ask for forgiveness or give high fives when the outcome is revealed. Like, there have been a few places along the way where I have completely gone against the grain when it came to my intuition, based on someone who was an expert or a leader in their department. And I just want to say, like, sometimes you have to break that wall. And you have to be like, you know what? I know you're the ex at the company. I really do believe in you and I really do trust you, but I have to let you know we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I know it might make perfect sense on a P&L, but
Yeah. Like the margin issue, $5 more. Yeah. I love that story. That's a business defining story. If you lowered price, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because you would be competing. Yeah.
Steve, this is so much fun, man.
Yeah, it's great.
I really appreciate you making it, and I know that you had DM'd me about doing a run, and I totally fucking forgot to get back to you.
Today wouldn't have worked either way. We'll do it again soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, man. Where can everybody follow along?
Cuts is cutsclothing.com or at Cuts on Instagram. Oh, and TikTok, I'm at Steven Borrelli, 2 R's, 2 L's. Sick.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this one. This was a good one. I love when I get founders that are just crushing on the podcast. It's just there's like an energy, there's a fire that gets ignited when I get to sit across the table from an entrepreneur who is willing to take a risk, willing to put his basically life on the line to create something that he thinks and now many other people agree with will make an impact in life. And look, at the end of the day, right? Like, how you look really impacts how you feel. It's just the truth. And anybody that's going to tell you differently is fucking lying. So how you look really impacts how you feel, and how you feel really does dictate how you perform. So the clothes that you wear on your back, honestly, make a difference. They just do. And so Cuts is the shit. I love Cuts. Cuts has been around for, literally, I feel like for a long time. And now it's only been 8 years, but it feels like forever. And I think that's a really good sign. So check out Cuts. Follow along Steve's stories. Obviously a really sharp dude. And do me a favor. Pass this off to a friend, a family member, a foe. Someone that you think would love to hear a great story, a great conversation amongst two entrepreneurs that are just out here, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Let's go.
That's the rent I ask you guys to pay. That's it. That's the rent I ask you to pay. Share the podcast. Post it on your channel. Do a little story with a link. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Don't write a bad review. You could DM me the bad review, and I'll happily get back to you on that one. That's all I ask of you guys. I really appreciate you all. This podcast is nothing without you. Neither is Kreatures of Habit. So, mad love, mad respect. Until the next one, y'all. Peace.